Hello there. This is Celestial Time coming to you from Hartsville, Indiana. I'm the old sage, Lorena Walsh. We're continuing our beginning tarot class, and we're starting with the swords this week. The swords, the mean, nasty swords. Everybody's, oh, swords are horrible. Well, swords are creative ideas, but more to the point. Just like swords, things are to the point. Okay, with a sword, you cut through the BS. That's what I call it. The Ace of Swords. When the Ace of Swords, that's the beginning sword here. Ace of Swords says, what is? What do you think? What's happening? New ideas. This could be a new adventure, or this could be starting school. This could be starting college. This could be coming up with an invention. Although that has a lot more to do with wands. It's kind of a argumentative thing in a way in my head, because sometimes the Ace of Wands, that's, I call that flip your bick. But this is the Ace of Swords, and it's like, clear your mind. But, if you had those two cards together, Ace of Wands and Ace of Swords, there'd be all kinds of creativity, all kinds of new ideas and way to get out of things and things to happen, and all that would be wonderful. But then, of course, you'd have to, take step number 2. But this one, Ace of Swords, when I see it up, depending on what it's around, I've said that a million times, so this could be someone that has a lot of ideas and is sharp-witted, and his mind goes very fast and just, runs away with you. If it's upside down, that's not exactly clear thinking. Right side up, oh, I got this. Oh, I see this. Oh, this is a new thing. Upside down is, I'm confused. Okay, I don't have all the information straight. I want to have some new ideas. I want to do something new. And that's, I always call that the tongue, too. There's the tongue upside down. The Ace of Swords upside down is your mouth is taken off before your mind is engaging. Okay? Because, sometimes if this is around children, this is a child that's acting out sometimes if there's children cards around it. They're not feeling like they're heard. Okay, so with any ace, it's the brand new, it's the beginning of thought. Okay? The 2, okay, look at it, this wonderful lady here. She's sitting there, she's got the moon behind her, and that represents emotion. Always when you see a moon in a card, you know that there's emotion, but she's trying to figure out how she feels in so many ways, and she's trying to keep the peace for everybody because she doesn't maybe like to confront. Or there's 2 opportunities, 2 thoughts, and she's just trying, a lot of times I'm heard to say with this card, not choosing is the same as making a choice. Some cards, they're walking a tightrope in the middle, or having 2 factions and 2 different ideas and 2 different ideologies, and they find themselves in the middle. Okay, either you're in the middle of your own mind, or you're in the middle of someone else's drama or conflict, okay, and you're trying to keep the peace. You have a blindfold on, so you're not seeing the whole truth. Sometimes I see this, the mother that her child can do no wrong, okay, she doesn't want to see, okay, or she's in the midst between the mom and the dad. She's got to take up for one. She might have to take up for the child with something, this and that. It's not always about a child. A lot of times it's a career move. If we're talking about career, it's like, which shall I do? Shall I wait tables, or shall I go back and be, an astrophysicist? Well, what can I do? I don't know what to do. So sometimes if the rest of the cards support it, it's like do nothing well, okay? It might not be the time to make the actions. It might be time to just be quiet and keep the peace. But again, there's the mind trying to make up. And when it's upside down, well, these are swords, and swords are always to the point. So that's kind of confusion. I don't know which way to go. Again, just like the ace. Only this time, I know the paths that I'm supposed to take, and I don't want to take any of them. Okay, that's not what I want to do. But you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Okay, when it's the 2 of Swords is upside down. Also, when the 2 of Swords is upside down, peace at any price. Okay, when it's upside down like that, and sometimes the price is too high. Look at the rest of the cards around it. Feel your client. Feel where they are, what's going on, and then you'll give them good advice related to this. The 3 of Swords. in the Pick of Fortunes, I take this out. I have these Pick of Fortune cards that it's got the meaning of the cards on it, and I put them in a little bag, and I sell them Pick of Fortune for $1, do-it-yourself tarot at the Renaissance. And but I always take this one out. There's a few mean cards I take out. This is mean. This is sorrow, sadness. You see the heart is split. Sometimes, though, this is a mediator, someone that can take a lot of sadness and find a common ground, finding a barrier, finding something in the middle to make things a little bit easier. Or you're trying to be a faction for good between two completely opposite people. Often with a heart energy there, you know that it's gonna involve your emotions, even though it's swords. Well, the head and the heart are supposed to go together. You know, when the head brain, when the brain and the heart, that 18 inches worth of connection, when they're together, then you have someone that can really function in this world and can create and can manifest. But in this particular case, obviously, the heart and the head are not together, and we're really there's some serious sorrow, sadness, unhappiness. Upside down, trying to mend the fence, trying to put it back together. A lot of times I call these people, I really do call these, you know, the mental health workers or the mediators, you know, people that are just trying to put it together. And then on the other hand, it's the ain't it awful crowd. It's the, oh, woe is me, it's never going to be right, it's never going to be good, look at how bad it is, see how terrible it is. Well, that individual, head and heart, are totally not connected, and they're living from a place of sadness and sorrow, and you need to counsel them about at least turning this right side up, and what are you sad about? What are you sorry about? What could you have done about it? What couldn't you have done about it? What did you do? And own that, whatever it is. If this is in a relationship thing, and say, oftentimes I'll get this card and justice across of it, and those two cards very often in relationship issues are talking about a divorce or loss of a relationship, but not always. Depends on what else is around it. Yeah, you know, your readings will have a flavor. You may, and there's not that many flavors available. You have the flavor of emotion, of parental, of economic, job, okay, and health. And I have set my world up so I don't do health unless I'm asked, because I know that I can plant seeds. I'm responsible for what comes out of my mouth, and to plant a seed in someone else. I make sure that my seeds, when all possible, can be one of positive reinforcement. I'm an empowering reader. I don't like to tell people, oh, all this is just horrible and you just can't do a darn thing about it. If I saw this, I'm not going to say, oh, no, everything's sugar and dandy, but we're not going to talk about what you can do to either move through the loss, move through the grief, and then I will ask Spirit to show me cards coming up towards what's going to happen to, you know, how can we work best to work out of this. In Spirit, since you have if you start reading the tarot, you will have to create a space in you for your guides and you to get together, and so you can say, this is what I want to see. And I'm not one in the hand either. Oh, well, you know, you look like you're going to have diabetes when you get older. No. That is planting a seed. Just like the television and different things are promoting their latest diseases. Because what we see and what we think about and what we're open to, we can manifest. And if we are not conscious of it, and if we're unconscious walking around, if we're not enlightened or aware or whatever, we're not on that path, you can really end up having all kinds of things go wrong because you worry about it, think about it, and actually manifest it. The law of manifestation is it's very, very, well, it's the only thing you're working with. You just don't always know it, okay? Here's the 4. See, this knight is resting from his troubles because he's a knight, so obviously he's been out in battles. And he's resting, and there's swords above him. But as long as he stays still, they won't fall on him, okay? If he starts flailing around a little, they could maybe fall on him, and that's not good. Okay, and this card is about back up, rest. So it's a 4. Okay, so we've got past the trials of the 3, and now 4 says, okay, reap some. Okay, well, you're reaping now, as far as this 4 of Swords is concerned, in a situation where you need to just meditate, back up. It's time to rest. Maybe it's time for you to do what you're doing and keep on doing what you're doing, and just basically let things work themselves out around you. Okay, if it's upside down, to me that is always that flailing around and ending up with a sword sticking you because you did it to yourself. Okay, come on, it's back up. Let's regroup. Let's not stir things up just to see if they'll stink. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people that just they can't let it rest. They can't let it mature or manifest. Okay, so here's the 4. It's you've gotten past the major conflict. It's time to just go to work and come home, pay your bills, enjoy quiet moments with your partner. Whatever it is that if this is career wise, then enjoy. It's not only that, it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be good for a while. So there's the 4 of Swords. Just chill. And the 5, we know 5s are always the second wave of conflict. Okay, the first wave is generally 3, and the second wave is really gets things done and then turns on and moves into something a little bit stronger. So we've got the 5. You see, you can look at that card and go, okay, that guy is walking away and he is victorious, or oh, that guy is the guy that's walking away and he wasn't victorious. Depending on the rest of the cards and how they lay is going to depend on whether or not this is a winner or a loser, but there's always a battle involved. So is there really any winners or losers in the battle or in the conflict? This is a conflict card for sure. I mean, with Swords, like I said, there isn't any gray area. That's definitely, a lot of times with this, I'm like, pick up your sword and walk away, because this is a no-win situation. If it's upside down, you went into it feeling defeated, or you're feeling defeated. Well, perhaps it's time to go find something different to do, or something different, some other way to function. With a 5, 5 is the completion of one thing and the beginning of the next phase of that one thing. So if you're the winner, now when the 6 comes along, which we'll get into next, it's how are you going to manipulate and work your way into your success. But, sometimes it's best to walk away. Sometimes walking away is the absolute best thing you could do. 5 comes along and says, we're going to have a conflict here, and if you don't want to play the conflict game, walk away. Okay? Like I said, it depends. If this is fallen over a heart, any kind of a cup energy, it's going to be about emotions. If it's fallen over pentacles, it could be the stock market. The stock market, it could be a bull day, and you better get it done right now. If you don't, you're going to either lose or win. Okay? It's not cut and dry, because nothing is cut and dry. Nothing in the tarot is cut and dry. But this, if you get a lot of swords in them, when I set someone down, I usually run 5 or 6 cards around them right first and say, this is a climate of your life. And I see a lot of swords. I know there's a lot of conflict going on around them just by the swords. And then we start sorting through what we can do to make the situation turn out to the best. Okay? Well, there is our 1 through 5 of Swords today. I know this is painfully slow on one hand, and we think, oh, well, we could do 6 through 10. Well, yeah, we could. But if you do your homework a little bit and you start looking at these swords and start throwing, now you've got 3, all 2 in one more set, 3 sets. Throw your own cards a little bit. You know that the 1 through 10, that sequence in numerology. Do your own work a little bit and see what you can come up with. I'm not saying don't look at the book. I looked at the book when I first started, and but then you have to throw the book away. You can't, if you you memorize, you can, if you choose to. I can't memorize very well. I'm dyslexic. So reading it and memorizing it, to me, is difficult. But that also, I attribute that to helping me to really understand and make a good reader. But not everybody's got to be a good reader if they're dyslexic to be a good reader either. Photographic memory is great. Learn what the cards mean, but then realize that's going to morph. It's going to be in the ballpark. The cards can't tell you what station the person's life is in, what they're dealing with exactly. They can tell you a lot more about how to deal with whatever it is. Okay. So anyway, and I'm also on Facebook. So if you have any questions or comments, I'm going to run a Facebook live page in just a little bit here. Tune in, okay? And you can always send me an email and ask me a question, and I will absolutely get back to you. Email or a text message or a Facebook message. Messenger message is the best, okay? So I'm at Celestial Time. We are in Hartsville now. We're not in Nashville anymore. And I'm getting ready to head out for the Pittsburgh Renaissance Festival. So I'll see all the people that I love so much in Pittsburgh in just a couple of weeks. Y'all take care. You have a wonderful rest of the day. Farewell. And I hope you're learning the tarot. Honest, we'll get into more is better, but little bits at a time are good. I'll be glad when we're through all of the suits. And we can get into some more meat and potatoes when we get into the higher arcana. Okay. Yeah, one thing that you could do that would help a lot is just get a regular deck of playing cards. That's cartomancy, call it. Just use the playing card like the Gypsy did, because it doesn't have the higher arcana. And you can get a lot just from how you want to lay the tarot card, or the playing cards, because they have ace through 10, king, queen, and jack. Okay? And however you want to lay them, you pick a way, but just stick with it. Like if you want to go 1, 2, 3, past, present, future, past, present, future, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a common spread, especially for questions. And if you're doing cartomancy, you're doing up on the surface of things. You're doing just questions about events that are happening right then, local events. I call it not deep tissue. Okay. So thank you so much. You take care, and I'll see you next Thursday for another tarot lesson.